I'm Danny, this is Asha. We're two Kiwis who after 5 years living in London bought a sailboat called Bacchus and set off on an adventure to sail home to New Zealand. We sailed the south coast of England, the Atlantic coast of France, Spain and Portugal, the Canary Islands, and then all 19 days across the Atlantic Ocean to the paradise of Barbados. We spent 6 months exploring some of the beautiful islands in the Caribbean, got a little waylaid by a global pandemic, and are now continuing our voyage home. Follow us on our adventure. So here we are in beautiful Raiatea, and if you haven't watched our last episode, go back and watch it now. Seriously, it's epic. We go swimming with humpback whales, which is just the most magical thing. And now we're off to Huahine. What's happening out here, Captain?
Oh, it's a pretty miserable day. I'm planning on going to Huahine tonight. It's 80 miles from Raiatea to Huahine, so it's a bit too far to do it as a day sail, so we've got to do it as an overnighter. So our plan was to leave at 6 o'clock tonight, and it's just not very exciting weather. It's grey and it's rainy and there's a few squalls that have been blowing through. We could wait 2 days and then the squalls and rain would probably disappear, but then there's just a big blue hole with no wind, so then we'd be motoring for 80 miles to Huahine. So neither option is very attractive. Either we sort of sit here for 2 days being wet on the anchor in Moorea, or we go for a wet sort of night sail. So I think we're going to go for the night sail option. It's not the most exciting thing to do, but that's alright. It's only water, you'll live.
So it's going to be a wet, long night, but hopefully once we get to Huahine, the weather might have passed through and then it'll be nice and sunny for us to explore. So yeah, here we go.
It's a bit of a tricky night for sailing. The wind is kind of light, but we've had these absolute thumpers of squalls that have been coming through. There was one that hit the anchorage in the wee hours of this morning, which caused quite a big catamaran to drag. And there was another one that came through, and we were in the cockpit when it arrived. We were at anchor, but there was 30 knots in it. So even though there's not that much wind out tonight, I'm sailing with a reef in the main and a little bit of a rolled up slice out of the Genoa, just in case one of those big whoppers comes down on us again. I don't want to get caught by one of them in the dark with full rag up. So it's a little bit frustrating in that regard because we could be going faster with some more sail up, but I think it's better safe than sorry. So we've got the lights in Moorea sort of disappearing behind us now. The rain has cleared, which is nice, and the wind vane's driving, engine's off. We're making good progress.
Pretty miserable out here. A lot of rain, a lot of squalls. Wind's so shifty.
Yeah, it's really tough sailing in this. I think the hardest bit for me is just how dark it is. The clouds just completely cover the sky, so there's no chance of a moon or a star coming through. So you can't even really see the squalls before they jump on top of you. They just come out of the inky blackness around you and get you. And it's hard to have a sense of direction. You've always got to look at the compass because there's no chance of following a star. It's just not a very pleasant night to be out sailing. Actually reminds me a little bit of that very, very first day when we bought Bacchus. And we were leaving Ipswich and we had to get up at like 4 AM to catch the tide. So we only had the darkness for a few hours. But it was a bit like this. It was raining and cold and not very pleasant.
It was a lot colder though.
Yeah, it was a hell of a lot colder. Yeah. And here is Huahine appearing before us at dawn, looking very pretty on the horizon. So Huahine is the first of the Leeward Isles of the Societies. Moorea and Tahiti make up the windwards, and then this is the first of the Leewards that you get to. And then the other ones are Raiatea, Taha, Bora Bora and Maupiti. There's one squall disappearing off to leeward behind us. Ugly grey thing.
We can see Huahine, and it's finally stopped raining. There's just been squall after squall after squall all morning. It's not that fun.
No. You can probably hear we've got the engine running now, just as the wind's gone well forward. It's now dead on the nose. We're just beating now. And we just want to get there. So we've put the engine on to help push us along to windward a little bit quicker, help us point a little bit higher. But we've had to roll up the Genoa. We've gone down to the little number 4 on the removable inner forestay. Still got one reef in the main. I think in the last big squall that came through about 7:30 this morning, there was a good 25 knots in it. So it's a bit of wind. 25 is quite a bit when you're trying to go into it. So we often get people asking about the removable inner forestay that we fitted to Bacchus and how we fitted it and how we attached it and whatnot. And it's just been such a good little bit of kit. It's actually I think one of my favourite little modifications that we've done to the boat. The Genoa really doesn't like much more than about 18 knots of wind, because at that point you've rolled up so much of the Genoa that it's just got this big fat sausage on the luff edge, and it's got terrible shape. And ours is a pretty ugly Genoa anyway. It's quite stretched and saggy now. So it has this awful shape, and you can't trim it, you can't really go to windward. And so at that point we just roll up the Genoa completely and plug in the little number 4 jib on the removable inner forestay and fly that, and it works really well. What I do wish we had was a slightly bigger headsail to hang onto it, because the one we've got is quite little and it really doesn't come into its own until you've got sort of 22, 23 knots of wind or more. So we've got this hole between 18 knots when the Genoa really needs to be put away, and then 22, 23 knots when the little number 4 starts to hum. So I wouldn't mind having one other slightly bigger headsail to put on there, but otherwise it's been a really good setup for us. I really like it. It gives you the best of both worlds. You get the convenience of the roller furler, but you can also put on a small sail if you want. Tough little passage, hey?
Knackered. Eggs on mashed potato for I don't even know what meal this is, breakfast?
Yeah, with some salsary stuff. Yeah, we're both just zonked after that. Those short passages are really tough, and that one was just really squally and dark and messy, and you couldn't see what you were doing, and yeah, neither of us got much sleep. So I think that's the plan for today. Eat something and probably read a book and have a nap.
Chill.
Yeah.
So we didn't leave the boat at all yesterday. We were absolutely knackered from our overnight sail over, and we just slept and tried to get some energy back. So we're full of beans today. Just did a bit of a clean up on the boat this morning, and now we are taking the bikes ashore to go for a little tiki tour around the island on them and see what's the goss on Huahine.
Yeah, I was saying to Danny this morning, it's such a life of big highs and big lows, this whole cruising thing. Like when we were sailing over here in the middle of the night and it was just squall after squall after squall, and you're just wondering why you choose to do this. And then you wake up in a place like this and it's sunny and it's blue water and you're on this beautiful, beautiful island in some remote, far-flung corner of the ocean, and nobody else is here. You know, we've got this whole anchorage to ourselves, and there's your answer. That's why you put up with the tough stuff. So feeling really good today, really positive, and really looking forward to going out and doing some exploration.
So we will show you around. This bridge behind me is the bridge that connects Huahine Iti to Huahine Nui, the big island and the small island, and it's a tiny little gap. Okay, Captain, we're going to go to Nui or stay on Iti?
We're going to stay on Iti, so we're not going to cross the bridge, we're going to stay on the little island. But what a cute little gap of water between two quite decent sized islands. It's just so little. I really like it.
We will carry along that way. Far in the distance over there you can see Raiatea.
This little island, I think, is my idea of paradise. It's got lovely little anchorages. It's not very crowded, we haven't seen that many people. Like Moorea was really lovely, but it was busy, lots of people. But this is as pretty as Moorea, but really chilled, really quiet. And there's fruit everywhere, man. You would not go hungry here. We've seen bananas, mangoes, papayas, coconuts, avocados, all just not even in people's gardens, just on the side of the road growing wild. Fantastic.
There's a papaya right there above your head, actually.
Oh yeah, little ones.
I would just like to point out, because I'm pretty proud of myself for this, that we have got 2 weeks left to go on this massive 18-month adventure, and I still have wine left from Portugal that we bought over a year ago. I've got 2 bottles left, well, 1.5, and I'm pretty chuffed with my rationing skills. Here it is. Wine from Portugal. Cheers to that. Asher took his glasses off last night before he went for a swim. Well, he thinks he did. And we cannot find his glasses anywhere. So we think it is quite possible that he jumped in the water with them on. And now he's going to go for a little swim and see if he can find them.
Not my smartest move. Although it still remains unproven whether I did actually have them on. I'm sure I didn't. But we can't find them anywhere on the boat. We've looked everywhere. So, yeah. I think I'll try my luck salvaging them as they are down there.
Luckily the water is really clear, visibility is great, so if they are there he shouldn't have a problem finding them, and it's quite shallow too.
Yeah, it turns out I went swimming with my glasses on last night and didn't even notice when they fell off.
No wonder we couldn't find them anywhere on the boat.
Yeah.
They were in the water. They're still in one piece?
Still in one piece. I reckon they'll still work.
That's quite funny.
It's quite funny.
Oh, Asha, you're a goose.
Ganzo. Complete ganzo.
Off we go again. Today we are going from the east side of, where are we? Huahine, to the west side. Where we rode our bikes yesterday, there was a pretty little bay called Bay de Avia. So we're going to go right the way around the top, around Huahine Nui, big island, in the pass on the other side because we can't get through where that bridge was, and then all the way down inside the lagoon to the bottom southwest corner where we will drop our anchor again.
It's a nice sunny day today, which means there's no problem seeing the shallow water, which was a little bit trickier as we came in. If I just climb up here, you can see the edge of that reef very clearly. You can see the dark blue water. Now the dangers as we make our way down towards the pass, which is just out here. This is one of the most interesting things we've seen. We get dolphins regularly when we're sailing, but we've never had fish follow us. But we've got the school of about 8 tuna, little bonito ones we think, and they're just swimming alongside us. And we've even jibed the boat and changed course and they came with us. And every now and again they shoot off to chase flying fish, but otherwise they're just swimming like dolphins in Bacchus's bowway. It's really cool. You can see those leading marks up on the hill there, which we love so much. Such a good little navigational aid. So simple and really reliable, quite fail-safe.
I hate it when you say things like that. It's fail-safe.
That's right, hold my beer. Watch me run this boat onto a reef. So I was saying the other day all the things that we do for Wi-Fi around here. This is one of the perks, is coming to a resort to try and find the internet, and sometimes we get to have a nice lunch as well.
Yeah, we're in quite a unique situation at the moment where we're in French Polynesia in a season where there's just not many guests here because of Corona. So all of the hotels and resorts are at like 20% capacity, which means there's lots of space for cruisers like us to come and join and get to use all their resources and eat their yummy food. And where we are right now, we can just keep an eye on Bacchus. She's out on the mooring right in front. Some Chardonnay here. And here is some poisson cru, Tahitian. And Asha, what have you got there?
A carpaccio, I think, some tuna.
Tuna carpaccio. Nice.
Cheers.
Cheers.
So we're starting to plan our departure for New Zealand, and we're going to be leaving from Bora Bora, and because of coronavirus and all the border closures, we're not going to be able to stop on the way. We've just got to do a straight shot all the way back to NZ, which is 2,300 miles, and it's a stretch of water which has the potential to give us some bad weather. It's also got the potential to give us a nice ride, but we're watching the weather quite carefully on this. So we're probably still about a week away from departing, but every day we're downloading a big picture forecast on our little Iridium satellite link, and then this gives us 4 different forecasts for the wind. And what I'm looking for, what I'm hoping to find for when we depart, is a high pressure system centered to the east of New Zealand. You can see the center of one here, and because highs go anti-clockwise in the southern hemisphere, the top of that high pressure system will give us effectively trade winds, taking us west towards New Zealand and then southwest down into Opua. The 4 different tracks there are the routes that the weather modelling software thinks that we should take, but I'm really just interested at this stage in looking at the big picture and looking at where the high pressure system is sitting. So this is a lovely one that we've got here at the moment, and we could have actually left a couple of days ago when some friends of ours left, but we've chosen to stay a little bit longer here in French Polynesia and wait for the next window. But you can see as I slide this along, you can see that big high pressure system is moving off to the east as they do. You can see some stronger winds starting to develop here. And what I'm really interested in, critically interested in now, is closed isobars where there's a low pressure system and it's starting to spin, because that's the genesis of a tropical cyclone. We would usually see that up here in the top left corner. So I'm looking for the high pressure system, I'm looking for a nice flow of wind down to New Zealand, and I'm really carefully watching out for closed isobars. And as we scroll through here, we're not seeing much, and that's where my forecast ends. So the other tricky thing about this passage is that the passage will probably take us 3 weeks, and the forecasts only go 2 weeks in advance. And at 2 weeks, they're not particularly accurate. That's a long way out for weather forecasting. So we are going to be sailing blind to a certain extent as to what the weather will be at the other end. But yeah, that's us every morning at the moment. We're watching those little weather patterns very carefully, and hopefully we can find a nice window, hopefully around the end of the month, in a week or so, and we'll take that and head towards NZ.
Ash is just out there barbecuing in the dark, and I tell you what, we have just come across the most delicious treat. It is barbecued coconut that's been like covered in some soy sauce and sesame oil and a little bit of chili and a little bit of honey, and then yeah, we just chop up the coconut, cover it in the sauce, marinate it in the fridge, and then chuck it on the barbecue, and it is delicious. These are fatty little gourmet treats. So it's going with dinner tonight alongside some bok choy, and what else have you got out there? Bok choy,
eggplant, courgettes.
Eggplant, courgette, and a couple of eggs. Yum.
Champagne sailing conditions off Huahine today. Danny's at the wheel and we're heading towards Raiatea and Taha, which are about 25 miles to the west.
Huahine is disappearing off behind us. It's a nice little stay there. Would highly recommend. Yeah, but we're just breaking the trip to Bora Bora down into 2 smaller day sails instead of 1 big sail, which would be nice. Maybe we'll stay 1 or 2 nights in Raiatea before we leave again, but yeah, it's a really nice day for sailing, and I think we'll have a couple more days of good wind and then it's all going to die, so we kind of want to get to an anchorage by then.
Yeah, this is lovely. We've got, what have we got wind-wise? 15, 16 knots on the beam. So we've got our full canvas up, which we really don't have that often on Bacchus. We usually sail with a reef because we're so conservative. But it's very pleasant. We're doing about 6.5, 7 knots. Just lovely.
We're just passing a really big cat right now, a biggie.
Danny's got a yacht race on her hands.
Cool, we got across the front of them. They didn't alter their course at all, that's okay.
So we passed them to leeward, which is the polite thing to do. So you don't sort of block their wind, but it does put you in a position of having rights over them under the sailing rules. The windward boat has to keep clear. And we never exercised those rights, we didn't try and push them up, but they did insist on coming down on us, which is pretty rude really if somebody's overtaking you, and they've had the decency to do it on the leeward side. You should just let them go through, especially because you don't have any rights to come down on them.
But they weren't even steering, they just had the autopilot on and we're just having a nice day sail, so it's fine, it's all good.
Yeah. But there you go, our 36-foot Beneteau, quicker than a 45-foot catamaran. Yeah, we'd been told there was no current in the passes in the societies, but we've arrived at Raiatea and we've got a ripper of a current coming out, some standing waves for us to deal with. That's not what we want. Well, yeah, you're punching into it now, you're doing well. How much current is there? 3 knots?
It's hard to tell because of the waves. Yeah, I reckon probably 3.
We're almost in now. It's a bit more exciting than we thought.
Yeah.
Have a look at the colours of this anchorage though out here. Look at that happy little charter boat. Isn't that a beautiful colour? We've found a very peaceful little spot on the lee of Taha, which is just north of Raiatea, and we'll hang out here for the night and we'll head to Bora Bora tomorrow. Alright party people, stick with us, we are almost at the end. Coming up next will be Bora Bora, and then we'll be making the big passage, quite a tough one, all the way back to New Zealand. Stay tuned, see you next time.